Greetings, Tinker students, and welcome to the CodeLab on Tinker Live. This is the show that helps students and teachers make and create with Tinker Code. I'm David Lockhart. Now let's create together. And this week, and also on a different note, sorry for the technical difficulties from the previous session, but we are all good to go. Internet is always a challenge in certain places. But on this session, we will be making Composing Candy Quest. And to help me do that, my buddy, Mr. Rezak. How are you, Mr. Rezak?
I am good as always. So glad to be here. Glad to help students along with Tinker Code. So excited.
And thankfully, my internet is now working after I reset everything.
Well, things like that happen. This is live TV, and I see people every day on live TV having problems. So our problems don't even amount to what live.
And I know from colleagues, I'm not the only one who's had internet kind of just go out all of a sudden on them this week. So the project, what we will do to get today, actually, we are going to do something a little bit different. This plan's a little bit different than normal, is we are actually going to focus on Candy Quest, which is part of Programming 100, and talk about some strategies to go through that puzzle. And as always, you can chat with us at gotinker/live chat. We would love to hear from you if you're still on with us today. And so all we have to do now is get started. Are you ready to get started there, Mr. Rezak?
I am so ready.
So, I always feel like you have a cheer or something that you want to do here, but let's get started. Let's get started. So your first step for today's project is you're going to go to tinker.com. If you've never had an account before, you're going to come over and you're going to click over here and you're going to click start for free and you're going to sign up for an account. If you have an account, just click sign in right above my head. And when you click that button, it's going to take you to here. If you're a student, you're going to sign in over there. If you're a teacher, you're going to sign in up there where it says teacher. Once you sign in, from a teacher perspective, you're going to want to add today's project to the class. And so the first step to add today's project to the class is you're going to want to click assign a course. And so you can do that a couple of different ways. And the first way is that in that class dashboard, if you click the lessons tab over there, there's an assign course button that's right above my head. And then what it'll do is it'll take you to the course page. And if you scroll over and you can see that it's the course page over here, if you scroll over any of these course cards, it's going to have a place that says assign a course. You're going to assign today's course to the class. And so you can scroll over there on any of them and send it that way. And then because we came from that class, it'll go right back to that class. But you can always start just on the course page over here, and then you can assign this to actually multiple classes. And then what you can also do is that you can actually click in and you can see this lesson individually a little bit as well. And any Tinker lesson works this way. And so you can find this lesson a little easier if you click preview on that course card, and you actually click the lessons tab, which is right above my head over here. Once I click that lessons tab, it's going to take me to an individual page of all those lessons. And then I can either preview those lessons or I can assign those lessons as well to the class. And so for a teacher, if you want to actually do the lessons with us, you click preview right there. It's going to take you to the preview of that lesson, and then you can start working through that lesson based on pressing those buttons. And those buttons will take you to each individual assignment of that lesson. Now, from a student perspective, because we're working in courses today, you're going to have to actually go and have your teacher assign this. But once your teacher assigns this, you're going to log into your account and you're going to go to My Classes, which if you go to My Classes, you can see it over here, and you're going to see that page with all the classes that you're a part of. So the class that I assign this course to is that David Lockhart class, which is way over there on the side, and I'm going to click View Lessons. And once I click View Lessons, it's going to take me to that page. If I scroll over any of these cards, there's a blue button that says Start, and you start. All right, you ready to share your screen? All right, go ahead and share your screen with us.
All right, here I go. And 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. You got it?
We got it. We are ready.
All right. So, students, teachers. All right. I mean, you've shown them how to get there. This is an assigned lesson, but just a little tip. Candy Quest can also be. You can also get to Candy Quest from the Hour of Code page. So, if you wanted to go there, you can. But for now, I'm not gonna click around or anything like that. But you can go to tinker.com/hour of code and find it there, or you can find it inside your classes. So Candy Quest is like the most beginner, pretty much like one of the most beginner type of lessons that we have uh, um, in a like a lowest reading level. Before that, then it gets into pre-K stuff, which is on the iPad. But I'm going to go ahead and click on that. It's in my class there, and here I am. So what I'm going to do today is I'm just going to walk you through first few of these steps. And our goal today is really to just talk about strategies for how to do puzzles. We have there are a couple different things in Tinker, right? There's puzzles and there's projects. This is not a project. This is a puzzle. So we have a lot of puzzles, and puzzles have a different purpose in Tinker. And so this is kind of one of our standard puzzles. So I'm going to walk you through here, starting with just the basics here. We're going to go to 1. And then after a few steps, I'm going to pause so we can talk about strategies for how to be better at puzzles. And I like these puzzles in general just because I think they do help. What's their purpose? Let's talk about what their purpose is. Ooh, we've got the little Android guy. I like that.
Yeah, how did that get in there?
I don't know. It feels like it's new to me. I don't remember that.
That's
but,
yeah, that's really new. Or is it? And are you going from the Hour of Code or the Programming 100?
No, this is I don't know. This is from my account. So
gotcha.
We'll
Interesting.
see what happens. Maybe it's there on the Hour of Code too. But I like it, so I'm going to go with it. Now there is voice over here. So on the top right, you can turn off your sound if you want to. I know if I were among other people, I may not want all my audio, but if you do like to hear the audio kind of spoken to you, you can turn that on and keep that there. But let's go ahead and this is basically teaching us how to use Tinker, and we're basically going to start putting some of these commands together, how to get this little guy to move and how to get him to reach his destination. And so in a lot of these puzzles, the idea is going from point A to point B. We want to get this guy to go from here to there. And how do we do that? It reminds me of some of these toys I used to have when I was little, where I had like little robot toys where you'd have to program them to like go around corners and stuff like that. Same idea. And that is pretty much what Candy Quest is. The idea is as we go through these lessons, and this is going to take me to the next one. Each lesson's going to get a little more challenging. So in the beginning, it might seem like, wow, this is so easy, right? Here's the gumdrop. I need to program that character to walk to the gumdrop. I don't know if you can hear that. I don't think you will be able to hear that, but we can try it. Can you with the voiceover? So now what's going to happen is I actually get a little bit of a workshop space when I start to build. So I need to program him to go from point A to point B, here to there, and we're going to go ahead and start dragging our walk blocks together. Question I would ask, as we do this, is breaking this down. All right, so let me go ahead and this one's pretty easy to do. I don't think we have to spend a lot of time on this step, but then we're going to stop here in just a moment. Walk. Let's see. 1, 2, 3. Let's see. Is it 3 or is it 4? I don't know. Let's test it. Oops. Clearly I need to add another block.
Yeah, you gotta add enough.
Gotta add enough. So this is actually a good point, because when you're doing a puzzle, first of all, I never assume I'm going to be right on the first time. So if you're doing puzzles and you're like, oh, I got it wrong, no problem. This is called iteration, right? We're going to add more. In fact, a lot of times, if you're in the middle of doing kind of a code stack here, test it out first. See how things go. You can always test things along, and if you think it's going to give you an error, hit the stop button before you get to the end. It's a little tip. So I get to the next lesson. This is great because it's just taking me through and through. Aha. Can you hear the voiceover? I wasn't sure if I
No,
could hear it.
I am not hearing the voiceover.
That's right. You're just hearing my audio, but that's fine. So now we have something here, right? We're not just walking. And if this is computer science, this is coding. So what might we? There's a word for this right here. When now there's something in the way, we have to react to something, and it starts with a V. Maybe somebody in the chat knows what it is, but it is what we call a variable. So there's something here now we have to tend with, right? And there's a jump variable, right? So we're going to add that block. And now we've got two different types of movements we can do. We can jump or we can walk. So now how do we order these and what order do we put them in? So we can go ahead and here we can study the puzzle. And this is where I'm going to pause for one of my favorite moments. Okay. So if you're doing a puzzle, like a Tinker puzzle or anything, right? I'm going to give you three of my favorite words in computer science and coding. And that is find the pattern. You can repeat it over and over and over. Because David, I'm going to ask you, where is finding patterns only in computer science? Where else can we find patterns?
No, I mean, we have, I think it's a great math skill. I think it's also a great art skill, and then there's all kinds of other places as well. But I think when you look at something like specifically like art at 2, I know that you look at some other things that we have as art projects. Like you could basically do it with the same pattern and create that pattern if you were drawing it by hand as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So we are basically, and I would tell students everywhere, think about where you can see patterns. It's everywhere, right? In nature, in history, right? History repeats itself. That's something that people say a lot, right? It's true. If you look in past, we can learn from the past. And if you can be really good at finding patterns, you can be, good in everything. So that is what I would say. So my suggestion to anybody doing a puzzle like this is don't do it right. Don't just dive right in. Give yourself a minute to see if you can find a pattern, right? Now, there may be, if you stare at this puzzle for just a moment, what would you say is the one thing that repeats? And David, you can be the voice of the student.
So I think the one thing that repeats is that you're going to have a walk block that's going to repeat a little bit here.
Right. So I might have a repeating pattern. I might have a repeating walk block. So that would be, in this case, this might be my pattern. So I'm going to go ahead and use the jump to avoid the thimble and reach the mint. And let's try. Nope, sorry. Had to hit my play button by accident. But here we go. So I need to go 1, 2, 3, and let's try that. So we're gonna walk 1. We're gonna walk 2. We're gonna jump, and I think we got to walk one more time. All right. So let's see how I do. Jump, and I go one more, and congratulations, I have succeeded. Great. So we'll move on to the next lesson. All right. So find the pattern. Again, very big important words. I would always remind students to think about that. And when you're starting a new puzzle, and that is mostly because when you do these puzzles, guys, sometimes they're going to get more challenging. They're going to get more, they're going to get harder, and that's okay. But if you have a strategy for how you're going to tackle them, you're going to be more successful. So if you just dive in, you may, find yourself getting a little frustrated, and we don't want that. So we're going to drag we've got a new block. It's called the repeat block. And we're going to put that in there. And how many times are we going to do that? I'm doing it. So this is nice because we get this little...
You're doing it well.
Drag the walk block. I'm looking. I'm trying. I'm doing it. I'm working on it.
So what's funny is I think is it you're running a little slow now, and I was the one that was having the struggles at the beginning.
No, I'm running fine, but for some reason my walk block is not
Oh, gotcha.
attaching to my um, to my thing. But you know what? That's okay. I'll skip ahead
It is.
because I
It
can
is
do
what
that.
it is at this point.
So this is actually kind of our next spot, right? So if you're going to study and strategize, think about patterns, right? What do you see that's repeating here, students? You know, we have two movements that we use. We use jump and walk. Uh, and if you follow along with me, you know, what are we going to do first? We're going to jump. Then we're going to walk. Then we're going to jump. Then we're going to walk. Then we're going to jump. So now we're seeing hopefully a pattern that I think is pretty distinguishable. And we can use our repeat block to a better effect. So let's take a look here. Jump, walk. All right. So let me add those two. So I have a repeat block here. I've got jump and I've got walk. Now, how many times does this pattern repeat? Let's take a look. So if I go jump and walk and do it again, and then I jump here, this would be not 3, but twice. There's going to be an extra jump on the end, but it's outside of that pattern. All right. So let's give that a test and see how we do. Uh-oh, I've already done it wrong. What did I do wrong? Oh, you know what I did wrong is there's a walk here that I didn't see. So we're
Yep.
going to walk, jump, walk, jump, walk. There we go. All right. So those of you in the chat who are telling me I did it wrong, you are correct, and I did it wrong. So let me do it again. So that is a 3, and it is a walk jump, not a jump walk. All right. And there we go. Congratulations. There we go. And we worked. We did it. Moving to the next one. Now he's in slow motion. So let's pause for just 1 second here. This is similar, right? But we may see that our pattern is a little different. Subtle differences in this one. But here's what I'm also going to do. And David, I don't know if you can see this, but if you look in the bottom of your screen, I don't know if anyone has taken a chance to investigate what these are. But do you know what these buttons are down here at the bottom? No, it's all right. We're in a puzzle and there's 3 buttons, 4 buttons.
So it is the that you can convert those to languages where you can actually see the text languages.
Oh man, absolutely. So there are multiple ways to challenge yourself within these puzzles. In fact, if you did the whole puzzle with Tinker blocks, and that's this button on the left, I could then do the whole entire puzzle over, but challenge myself to just use Python or Swift. In fact, this is, you know, we are one of the first partners to work with Apple on introducing students to Swift this way. So that would be, skipping ahead, we're coding in JavaScript, Python, Swift, or Tinker blocks. So back here, and I'm going to keep it on Tinker code for now, but again, this is a similar puzzle to what we had before, except it's backwards. This time we're doing a jump, walk, jump, walk, jump, walk. And how many times are we doing that? It's math. We are doing it 3 times.
Yep, 3 times.
All right, let me pause on that. And we have a new lesson. Now it's going to get even more challenging as we get and keep moving. Does anyone have any questions while we're here and while we've paused? We do have a couple of folks in the chat. Hi, how are you doing? They just love it, which is great. So now we've got a new thing to avoid, right? We've got blocks. We've got to avoid blue blocks to get to the gumdrop. I'm just going to hit play on this real quick to get myself out of that. But let's take a look. So this is different, right? And again, if we're studying our strategy, it looks like I'm going to need to jump, walk, and then have an extra. So I want to just pause here for a minute because I want to talk about the differences here. So what is a pattern? You know, how would you define what a pattern is, Mr. Lockhart?
So a pattern is something that repeats. It's a repeating thing to accomplish a goal. I guess that's how I would define a pattern. That's a good question.
Yeah, no, that's good. It is a set of elements repeated in a predictable manner. So you could see here that this is predictable, right? It goes, we're jumping, we're walking, we're jumping, we're walking. That is pretty good. So I'm going to introduce you to a bigger word here in just a minute. So what do you have when you have multiple patterns that might, or multiple elements inside this code? What would we call that? And it's a big word. It starts with S.
A sequences, maybe.
You are onto something. And that's because you saw my second slide there.
Oh,
so you have a sequence.
I was guessing.
No, it's all right. A sequence is a well-defined mathematical term, but a sequence doesn't need to have a pattern. It could be a bunch of random things together, but a sequence, if we're, let's say, trying to get from point A to point B, maybe there isn't a great number of patterns within that, but we have to go left, right, straight, right, left, straight, up, down, or A, B, whatever. So a sequence is going to be it's like the next step, but it does not need to have a pattern. And so in this particular stack, this code stack I've got going here, this would be a sequence, would be considered a sequence. And so let's go ahead and give that a play. And we're going to jump, we're going to walk, we're going to jump, we're going to walk, and then I added another one on there, right? Everything is not always in a predictable pattern. We have to add little bits here and there, and that's just logic, right? So I'm going to pause there for a moment. If you have any questions, anything you want me to stop and show, I can do that. This lesson, I'm not going to do the entire lesson, but you can see as we get, and start moving on, it's getting more challenging. We're adding more elements. Eventually, I believe we're going to add a condition in there, and so that gets exciting. So, but do you have any thoughts, questions, anything you want to see?
So I have two questions for you. Number one, how does this project to the Tinker Workshop? Because I get asked that question quite a bit, where they want to see some of. Do you see the same blocks in the Tinker Workshop, or is this more about like learning the concepts and learning some of the things that go with coding in the Tinker Workshop?
Sure, that's a good question. Yeah, you're not going to see like a jump block in the Tinker Workshop. This is specifically for this this project. You will see repeat blocks, but basically this puzzle has helped. The idea for any of the puzzles in Tinker is to help us learn and practice, basically practice the concepts. And in this case, we're practicing sequencing. We're practicing how to use patterns and how to recognize patterns. We're going to be practicing conditions. So in this case, we've got a condition here that's a repeat, until you meet some condition, and that is the mint. And so, yes, this is a little bit more. We're simplifying it for this particular puzzle, but yes, there are conditions, there are variables, there are all of that inside the Tinker Workshop. There is on start, that's an event in the Tinker Workshop. But yeah, in this case, all of those ideas are there, but we're just kind of spelling it out for you here to make it a little bit more understandable. And yeah. that's my answer to that.
So I think another question is, even though this is a super simple puzzle, could this be used in kind of that transitional phase into like writing Python? And I know you've touched on this a little bit as well.
Well, absolutely. And though we do have the ability to actually turn Python on, right? So we can start exposing ourselves to syntax, at a super young age, first grade, second grade. You want to start seeing and practicing what Python will look like when you have to do it. And again, we've done it in a way that's, I think, really fun. And, I can still tell what a jump and a walk, block looks like and what those variables look like. Walk, jump, and I can do that loop right here. But what's going to be cool is if I'm really interested in computer science in a couple of years, when I actually do a Python course or a JavaScript course, this is all going to feel very familiar. And this is going to be, so if I want to expose myself to this right now, this is great. So let me see how that goes. I'm going to walk, I'm going to jump, and until I get to the mint. I think I've succeeded. And I could actually keep that in, I think I can keep that in Python. I don't have to switch back to blocks. But that's a good question. Swift, JavaScript, Python.
All right, let's see if we have any other questions in the chat. And I don't think that we do. Anything else for today?
Today, I'm all good. I hope that everyone.
And you can stop sharing your screen.
Oh, sure. But I hope this was a good moment to just start thinking about how to attack these puzzles. You should have a strategy, I think, when you're doing any kind of puzzle like this. So 3 words: find the pattern, and the better we can do that, the better we can be at pattern recognition. I think just in general, we're going to be better at all of our subjects: math, science, social studies, English, and generally all around good people.
So our next show is actually tomorrow at 2 p.m. And you guys are doing something with dragons tomorrow.
Dragon
Dash.
Tomorrow.
Dash with Mr. Alaprande, I would assume.
Mr. Alaprande.
All right.
Okay.
Well, we just want to say thank you if you hung in there with us through our little bit of tech issues for a while, and we will see you tomorrow.
Thank you. Take care. Goodbye.
Bye.